Hey guys, so I thought I'd pop on and go ahead and get the bottoms of these taken care of so that they can seal up and sit so that I can get, resin on them again soon. Because I don't want to do that resin until I have the glitter all done. So, got still quite a mess here. I'm just basically leaving that until I get this part done, and then I'll worry about essentially cleaning that up. I am gonna though, even though this is like a mess, move that out of my way. I don't want to put this glitter in a silicone cup because that will create a nightmare for me to clean up. But I'm going to get just a disposable cup and throw that glitter in. That way I can just use it. Thought I had one there that I could just use, but I don't want to use one that's already used, so we'll get a clean one. And I know there's some vinyl in here, but I'm not worried about that. I'll be able to pick it out. Okay. There we go. Cool. Alrighty, so this was left with Mod Podge in it. You can see it's dried clear, but when I flip it inside out, it just comes right out. Easy peasy. That's why I'm liking using these silicone cups for the Mod Podge. Alright, get our Mod Podge out. It's not going to need much. Oh, our back's sunk in there. Gross. Like, I want to get enough that I don't need to get more out, but I also don't want too much. Just gotta shove that bag back in there. And getting Mod Podge on my fingers, like, it's just like if you got glue on it. It doesn't bother me. It'll dry and peel right on off. It's lined up right. There we go. Seal it back up and see, it just rubs right off, basically. Okay. So, we're going to do the bottoms. And I basically have a similar thing. I just have a little circle square of leopard print. I'm just going to get a little piece of our transfer tape. Maybe if I can get it apart. I have no nails right now, so it's being very difficult. There we go. Just use our needle and we get it. And really I don't need, may not even really need the transfer tape, but basically tried to measure the bottom of my cup and get kind of an idea of a circle, and then just grabbed what leopard prints fell in that circle to do the bottom. There. Okay, that one's ready. I'm not going to fold down the sides because I don't want that to touch the glitter that is on the sides and pull that up. This is the one that we haven't brushed off yet. So I'll grab my glitter brush and just brush any excess glitter. Makes that red really pop. And if you see anywhere that you don't want like the glitter and maybe it's just pooled up or something, it might be stuck with a little Mod Podge, so just rub it with your finger and it comes right off. Yay! It's looking gorgeous. So excited about these. I can't wait. I'm going to try without the transfer tape on this one. It just peeled right up and off. It was like perfect. As you can see, I used the same pattern for the circle on the bottoms, which is fun. Yay. Okay. So, if you recall my one brush I had left in some Mod Podge, it is much better. I had a little bit of Mod Podge stick. If I wanted to soak it a little longer in the rubbing alcohol, I could. And that would probably just get it fully cleaned up. But with some soap and water, I was able to really do it well. I have to be careful, that one might blob a little bit. And it really doesn't take that much Mod Podge. I'm going to have extra. So I'm just going to take this glitter that I already have. Granted, the first things that fell out were the final pieces. Get them off of there because we don't want them. These chunks I don't want. Okay. Just tap it in. You have a piece of vinyl there. I think that's tucked in nicely. Now I told you that might smear in between, but the good news is that it didn't get glitter, and it should just dry clear and won't be an issue. So yeah, there's our bottom. Yay! One down. And yeah, I'm going to have extra Mod Podge, but it's not much, so I'm not going to stress over that. I'm happy that I was able to use leftover glitter. Just no waste, basically. And I'm not really rubbing like down hard on the actual cup, but just moving the excess glitter to where it needs to be. And then tap, 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 tap. Because we're doing Mod Podge method, gotta do the tap method. And voila! We'll let that set up for a good 12-24 hours, just because that's my life. And then really, these are ready to get a seal of resin and go to my next step of this one. So cruising right along, but definitely need to have that break in between putting resin on. If we put resin on right now, it would pull all that off that we just did. So don't want to do that. Anywho, hope you guys are enjoying this red and gold leopard tumbler set. And I will see you guys again shortly. Bye. Hey everyone. So, coming on. Sorry I'm bouncing y'all. My little phone tag like dropped down in front of you and I was trying to move it back in place. Anyhow, so coming on with the next step of these cups that I have. So I have two of them prepped and ready. I did go ahead and do a spray of this satin clear Rust-Oleum on them. I did that when I got home today, basically just to help keep the gold glitter where it needs to be. Kind of is matted, made the glitter kind of matte kind of coloring, but I think it's gonna be fine because it's gonna just shine right up when we actually put resin on. And before we get too crazy, I want to go ahead and get the resin mixed just so that it can be mixed up and ready to roll. Excuse me. Alright, so pull some gloves on here. I do have a spinner ready to start, or in place. Oh, this glove is going to rip, but I'll have to switch that before I pour. That'll be okay. That'd be okay. These gloves are probably done, but that's okay. We make it work for this room. Alright. So, I have my Artist Resin medium viscosity. I like to get B poured and then I pour A. Trying to think how much I want to do. I think I'm going to do 20 of each so I end up with 40. I think it's going to be more than enough. But you know me. I like, if I have a little bit extra, I go ahead and just use it. So it's not a big deal. I'm going to probably just mix it all in this cup. Ooh, that filled up really fast. Got my 20. Put that back on. That way I don't mess up my lids. Get this one. This is part A. Make sure you mix, you know, check your resin labels, but this resin is 1 in 1, not by weight, it's by measurement. I keep waiting for this cap to not come out. We're almost done with this pack of resin. This comes out much thicker, so you want to just make sure that you're aware of that and slow yourself down. Goodness, I've got something in my throat and I can't get it out. Alright. So, got my resins in. Going to grab this plastic stir stick and we're gonna, oh, that has red glitter attached to it. It's fine, but it's just that thicker stone mica glitter I have. So we're spinning, 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 round and round, making sure I get all around the bottom and all around the edges. And then I always like to wipe my stir stick a couple times just to make sure that we're getting that all in there and mixed well. I go by look with mine. I look at how cloudy it is. So right now it's still a little cloudy. So it's not mixed well enough yet. But once it gets a little bit more mixed, it will be set. I'm a little worried 40 isn't going to be enough. But I just may not have extra, which is fine. We don't have to have extra. I just can use extra if I do end up with it. So, yeah, we have some bubbles, but not really worried about that. Much clearer. Okay. So we're going to let that sit while we get the spinner set up. I'm going to move these out of our workspace. So I left my Mod Podged paintbrush and didn't wash it the last time. So I've got it sitting off camera here in some of the rubbing alcohol, just trying to loosen up that brush. I told myself don't do that, and then clearly I walked out of here without it. I do have, here's that little cup that I was using for the Mod Podge, and it just comes right out. It's phenomenal. Oh, I don't have a trash bag. I was like, oh, I'm going to be so prepared this time. Every time I do that. I'm like, so prepared. I cleaned up, picked up, and then I'm not prepared. It's all good. We get it. Okay, so as you know, I don't keep my little bars on my thing. Oh, huh. Where are the screws for that? I think I actually saw them recently. I'd like to use this spinner since it's a 2 arm spinner, but let's see if I can find my other screw or not, because that will be interesting. Okay, I can't do this with gloves on. These need to be thrown away anyway, so let me look. Let's see. You know, you have so many things, and then you need something. You're like, oh. Shoot. Oh, here we go. I do remember seeing this. Okay. Cool. Pretty certain. It might not be the exact ones, but I think it'll work. Like, this is what I need to see. Okay. That's what we're going to be doing. I think it, like I said, I think it will work. So, it'll be fine. We'll make it work. Put that nut on a little different, I think. But that's okay. The hardest part is finding where that hole is. Most of these are universal, so that's the nice thing, is that the arms are universal. So I have several arms, several things. Okay, let's fix this to go the right way. So I wanted this spinner since it's my 2-arm spinner, and I'm doing 2, then it's even weight and everything. Thankfully, I knew where to find that. Okay, we got some bubbles rising up, which is awesome. That's what I like to see. I'm going to go ahead and probably going to do both of these. And then I probably need to get gloves on so that I can get that blasted with a little bit of heat and so forth. So that will just protect our area, our mat. I like to do that. All right. Let me grab some gloves, and then we're going to blast this with just a smidge of heat because we definitely have some bubbles, and I'll bring it closer to the camera here in a sec so that you can see these bubbles, because I want you to see how they rise to the top and they're forming. Now also plug in our spinner, because we'll need that. You know, all these little things, like, okay, you got this, you need that. Okay. So, if you look, you can see all the bubbles right there. I'm going to turn on my heat gun away from my project, just so that if there's any dust, I'm just gonna, it's hard to see on camera just because I have to block the camera to get to the bubbles, but just hitting that with a little bit of heat. There's still quite a few micro bubbles in it. That's fine. It'll be okay. And then I like to just give it a couple taps because that's going to help bring any bubbles up too. It's going to keep helping. Again, not super worried because we're going on to a glittered cup. So, not like stressing over that. Oh, we're spinning. I didn't know these were going. Like, we're just gonna hit to it, I suppose, right? Get this on here straight. Now you could check if you're level, just to make sure. You can stick a level on top of your spinner, just to make sure that you're pretty level. And on top of there, that's like spot on level, which is awesome. I guess I still have a natural eye for it. Yep, there we go. Spot level. Sweet. So that's just a way you can double check yourself. Alright, let's get these spinning the way I want them spinning for adding the resin on. Perfect. That's the direction I want. Because I want it going away from me. Let's get a little kiltered. So I'll just fix that. But it's going to go away from me so that I can pull the resin this way. I'll do the back one first and then I'll do the front one, but I'm going to get it spinning, which ironically, it's spinning the way I want it. Again, away from me, and I'm going to pull this resin up and over it. We'll do the back one first, just because it's the furthest away. Now, sometimes I'll transfer this into a paper cup and pour it, but there's such little in here. I'm not going to worry about transferring. I'm just going to pour a little bit on. And when it comes to where my fingers are, that's when I'm just gently doing a rub on it to help spread the resin out and not have it just drip off the side or run off the side. And as I'm up here by the edge, I'm not letting a lot pour out of my cup, but still just a little bit, keeping the fluid motion and going around. And then we'll start in another spot. And it's just about keeping enough resin to allow your hands to just kind of keep spreading it. It will level itself out. But you want to give it a little help to start off with. So it's still very runny, but it will start to thicken the further we go along. This probably could have set a little bit longer and not been so runny, but I've been pushing it pretty close recently, so I really didn't want to wait really any longer. Hopefully when I get done, I'll still have about 20 in here in our cup. Now the hard part I always struggle with is the bottom. So you saw where I just laid a little bit on my fingers. This is why you wear gloves. And just rub. This is not going to be the final coat, so I'm not worried about that. It's just more, this is going to be the next layer. Got some pooling right there. I have some more pooling because I saw it. It will come off, like I can get it off. So, okay. Might do the bottom over here first. Let's just check ourselves. Oh yeah, we still got just under 25. So if I need to, I might just actually take a little bit. Just let it, you see how little of a stream that is? I'm just kind of, like just a little bit. That will start to level itself out. Nothing too crazy, but to get a good coat on it. we are going a little funky crooked. There we go. Even though we measured it level, once it starts spinning, sometimes it can get a little funky and off. So you just want to make sure you're not like super unlevel. Okay. That bottom looks good. So just pouring a little bit, and then when my hands get there, I just have them there to help kind of spread it. The glitter is going to soak some of this up, but because I did spray that seal, it's probably not going to soak it as much as when I haven't sprayed that. So it's not like that first layer. This probably wouldn't have been enough resin if that was the first layer. And I got a little bit too fast, so it was coming down the other side. So I caught it so that it didn't roll off. Now it would have fallen on the mat, so that part I'm not worried about. I was just worried about losing a nice chunk of resin. And you'll see, like, I just bring it up and over, pulling with it, pulling towards myself as it spins away, just giving it a nice little help with the leveling. I like to make sure that we're going to get everywhere, that everywhere has a nice coat. So sometimes you'll see here, like I will go up and down the cup, just making sure there's no funky divot or spot that might have gotten missed. It's looking really good. Now we could hit these with just a smidge of heat. And you want to be aware of when you hit your resin on your cups with heat is that you're going to make the resin runnier. So it's going to start flowing a little bit more on you. And if that's not something you want, you just got to be careful, is what I would say. Just be aware that that's what's happening. So I'm going to take this finger and get that big chunk of resin that's like hanging out in this cup right here. That way my cleanup maybe of that cup is a little bit smoother. So I have just a really tiny amount left, but I don't think I need more on there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean off my gloves. And I don't want to put too much because you might end up with a funky odd thing. It's a fine line because if you put too little, you could start having divots. If you put too much heat, you could start having divots. I call them fish eyes, where they divot down and in. So you just want to be careful with that. So the way I'm cleaning my gloves, just can't really see, is I took a paper towel, I put some rubbing alcohol on it. I buy my rubbing alcohol from Amazon. If you haven't watched previous episodes though, I love my Equate brand bottle because it has a really nice spout. So I just pour my Amazon into that bottle, basically. And those of you who aren't familiar, Equate is Walmart's brand. Okay, I see like a little bubble going there. So we're going to just hit with a light heat. I'm on low, constantly moving. I'm going to see if I see where that bubble was. I'm thinking I got it. And I'll see, like, I'm just constantly moving. These are a little bit hard to tell if I've made it all the way around. So they'll probably get a little extra just because I want the whole thing to get hit, but it's sort of hard to tell because there's spots that look the same. Well, like I said, I don't want to do too much, so that's all I'm going to do. Just a nice little bit. And then I'm going to take a light that I have in this area, and I'm just going to hit my light over here. And like, as it's spinning, just kind of looking for any flaws or anything. if there's something on that. Almost looks like dust or a piece of glitter that is not sitting flat. Let's wait for it to come back around. I think it's a piece of glitter. That will get resolved in the next round. I really just need this layer on to seal. I see a lot of micro bubbles, but honestly, I'm not concerned about those bubbles. I could spritz them with rubbing alcohol and probably get most of them to pop, but honestly, with the glitter, it's not going to be noticeable. If these weren't glitter cups, then yeah, they'd be very noticeable, but they're not. So they're good. Kind of feel like that bottom red is a little orangey. I wish I would have just done it all red, but it's okay. Yeah, they look really good. I don't see any issues. I don't see anything happening that's got me concerned. So we're not going to worry about that. Yeah, we gotta find something to do with our little bit of resin. So it's not much. So I have this like itty bitty bird mold, and we're gonna fill her. But we're gonna find a really fun color to do. And I think that I want to do, I'm gonna go with the theme that I've been going with. I know this is a red and gold, but prior to that I was on this teal and purple kick. And I kind of want to go back to that. I know it's silly. Maybe silly. I don't know. It's fine. Let's see. What I want. No, that's too dark. Blue's too blue. Yeah. Alright. So I'm going to do a mica powder and I'm going to do a alcohol ink. And alcohol ink, it settles, the color settles at the bottom, especially on these shimmer ones, so you really have to shake it. And it helps if you like just smack it onto your hand. Okay. Looks good and mixed. Micas are a powder, so you're not worried about that. I need a mixing cup. I'm going to probably just pour them both into a mixing cup, to be honest with you, because this cup is such a nice little clear cup. Let me see if I work right here. Yeah, just making sure I'm still on camera. So I'm gonna basically essentially divide this. Now I have to be super careful to not bump my cups because they are doing so good. That would be really sad. They're already self-leveling. If you bump them, you could cause there to be a divot or a rivet, little flaw. Now again, it's not our last round of resin, so wouldn't be the end of the project or anything of that nature. End of the world. Doesn't say end of the year, and I don't know why I was going to say end of the year, but. And then, so it would be fine. And, like I say, every mistake is fixable. You just might have to get creative. So, but some are avoidable. And you can learn from my mistakes of don't bump your project. So these won't get touched for a good, I wouldn't touch them for 10 hours. They won't get touched for probably 12 hours. I take that back. It would probably be 10 hours because by the time I have to get up, and maybe 11. 11's probably more accurate. Alright, so got our mica powder. Now again, where we have a working project going, I have to be careful to not dump this onto this project. So if I did this and like was moving it over to here, I might sprinkle it accidentally on there. So I'm going to move out to where I'm at. It doesn't take much, just a little bit. And that is a silicone slur stick. I got these from Counterculture DIY. Y'all know my favorite place. This little birdie is also from there. Not sure how this is going to work. The alcohol ink is going to be lighter. That resin, the mica, is going to sink. It's heavier, so it's going to probably be more towards the first layer, and the alcohol ink will be more at the top. I'm going to try to kind of pour them together and see what happens. So look at this. Look how pretty that has come out. Gorgeous. And it's getting stringy, so that tells me my work time is thinning, getting smaller, which is fine. We still have plenty of time. I always tell you, stress about your time, but don't stress about your time. You're on a time constraint, but if you stress about it, you're gonna make yourself get really worrisome. Yeah, that's really pretty. And I don't know if I'm gonna really be able to pour these at the same time, just the way the project is here. But I'm try. The blue one in first, that's for sure. I'm gonna do about half. And then I'll probably switch sides. I have a little more purple than I do blue. I'm just making sure it goes into the tail. And truthfully, since I have these cups where I had them, it was just easier to spin the bird around. And the purple started going in. And then the blue. Get as much as I can this way, and then I'll probably just have to use my tools to scrape the rest out. I can't get them both poured over each other, and since the mica is going to sink, I'm going to get it all in, because if it sinks down in the middle or to the edge, whatever. This is just a fun experiment. This is just a not waste resin kind of thing. So this has, I like this pointy end for stirring, but it has a like rectangle square end, which is nice for scraping your cups, mixing cups. I'll probably have to move the bird off of this middle part, because there's 2 layers of the mats there. And I feel like it's leaning. And here it doesn't matter that I use this stick for the purple to scrape the container, because guess what? Both colors, that resin's going into the same project, and I already was mixing them, so I'm not worried about it mixing inside the bird. So I have a good eye for leveling, but I don't have a good eye for the amount of resin in it, because I thought, oh, I'll probably fill this bird up with what I had left. It's not going to fill it up. It's not going to quite fill it up. It's okay. So when we put another layer onto the cups, he'll get more resin at that point. So, just bring him up here so you can see him. He's cute. I'm just squeezing, make sure little air bubbles kind of rise to the top, and we'll blast a little bit of heat. I'll probably spritz him with a little bit of rubbing alcohol just to get that out too, pop any of those bubbles too. Okay, and not mess with this, so just going to do a quick got some of them, and then this just has rubbing alcohol in it. It's just an old perfume bottle, like plastic cheap perfume bottle. It's got the rubbing alcohol in it. I'll just spritz that in there, and that will help pop some of those bubbles that are creating. Okay, now let's find a good spot for you, little guy. Right here. Okay. That way he's not getting dripped on, but he looks to be in a spot that's level. So now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and cover this project so that while I'm doing the cleanup portion, I'm not worried about bumping them. That way I can show you the cleanup process. Okay. So I still have gloves on. And anytime I need to clean off my gloves, I just a little rubbing alcohol over a paper towel and I just rub them off. Again, it's hard to show over the project just because I didn't want that to drip. But I will use this paper towel now to start our cleanup. So just set it aside for the moment. And my favorite dust combater for projects like this is a tote. An empty, and I like clear because then I can still see within it. That's just my personal preference. I like it to be a smidge propped up so the airflow is still flowing underneath. I don't know if it makes a difference. I really don't. But it's just my preference. Of course, making sure I'm not hitting the cups. You know, you may have to turn it depending on how you need to. It's a little unstable, but it's all good. Alright, so here's our stir stick that we used. And here's the paper towel that I just used to wipe my hands. So because it still has resin on it, or rubbing alcohol on it, I'm able to clean the resin. I like doing my resin while it's wet. I like to clean my cups while it's still wet, and I just find it's easier. There's all kinds of methods, so find what works for you. But that rubbing alcohol on here, again, that one's pretty well clean. I'll wipe it one more time with a fresh one just to make sure. Now here's the colored one. I'm using the same paper towel, just using, you know, it to get as much of the ink or dyed resin out of there. That's just to like help make it easy or on the next round. So see? And yes, I know there's still crevices, but that will come. So that paper towel has got its worth out of it for sure. So grab another one. Grab our rubbing alcohol. Spray it around. And we'll go in here and do this cup one more round on the inside. And then we'll wipe it good on the outside. And then this cup is done and ready for our next use. If I missed a piece of resin, it would dry and it would peel right off. But I have not had an issue really with that. I'm pretty good with this method of getting it. So even though this one cleaned that last, I go ahead and now work to get more of my others, because why not? No need to try to grab a new one every time, because there's already plenty of rubbing alcohol in here that hasn't been touched that can be used to help clean. And look, those are pretty much done. But again, I will wipe them one more time. Here's our stir sticks. This one I used both ends, so it's a little tricky. And the nice thing, these are silicone stir sticks. Now you'll see that it's a little purple or blue, but the resin is off of it. These being silicone, I could let that resin dry and then peel it off. But again, I find just doing it while it's wet is just the easiest for me. Lastly, one more time, just to make sure that we get these. If I was having a really hard time, and I've had this happen, where I cannot, I think that rubbed my glove, which is why I got blue on it, but if I couldn't get the color out in that little base, then what I could do is pour some rubbing alcohol directly into the silicone cup, and that would get it out. And then, watch this. I wipe my gloves one more time, and now these gloves will be great to use for the next round. So, and then lastly, I saved that because I'll probably use it for when my hand is covered in resin. Not my hand, but my glove. Or like the first wipe out of one of the silicone cups. So again, it's hardly used. I'm not worried about it. The color part I'm not worried about. So that's what I do. We are on to another round. That tote is not stable, but we are on to another round with this. I can't wait to show you guys the next step of where this project's going. I'm pretty excited for this one. Every project I do, usually, I shouldn't say every, most every project I do has like a special meaning behind it or something special in mind, and this one does. So it's for a coworker. Her birthday's later this month, and I can't wait to get it done and give it to her. She might get an early birthday present, or she might get a late one, depending on how the project goes. Never know. So, but anyway, stay tuned for the next round of this series, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.